Welcome back to Inquiring Minds. My name is Doug, and thanks for joining me on another Pen Resurrection Sunday video. Today's pen is not really a resurrection because it was never really dead. The resurrection today is me. I've been fighting COVID for the last 10 days, and I'm starting to come back from the dead. So forgive my nasally voice today, and I've not been able to do a full resurrection of a very dead fountain pen for this week's video. But I've decided to look at a reclamation instead. So Pen Reclamation Sunday. This is a Waterman Hemisphere from the late 1990s to the early 2000s. I bought it for around 30 bucks at an antique store about a year ago. This is the exact shape it came in when I got it, and I've done nothing to this pen. There's nothing wrong with it at all. The steel nib is in good shape. The lacquer over brass cap and barrel have some normal wear, and the gold-plated hardware shows signs of age and use, minor scratches and the like. So no resurrection needed here, just a good clean and polish, and it will be like new. So let's take a look at this pen. The Waterman Hemisphere has a slim lacquer over brass tapering shape with an angled top finial and a flat bottom finial in gold-plated metal. Here it is next to my Waterman Carène Black Seas. It's smaller and thinner and lighter than the Carène by about 10 grams. From the top we see that chamfered angled top finial, which is very nice. It goes down to a typical Waterman clip with the split oval in the center and the Waterman W at the top of the clip. And the clip is really nicely springy and usable. Very elegant. The black lacquer over brass cap tapers up slightly to a single small cap band that says Waterman on the front and France on the back. And then the barrel tapers down slightly to the end flat finial, which is gold plated. The cap snaps off to reveal a long tapering thin section, which is plastic, and a number 5 size steel gold-plated Waterman medium nib and black plastic feed. The section unscrews, and the Waterman accepts standard international cartridges. It did not come with a converter, but I have got a Waterman standard international converter that I will put into the pen. Let's take a closer look at that nib. It has the Waterman logo, W, right there, some scroll work, Waterman, Paris, and M for medium. The nib and the plastic feed are friction fit and pull out for swapping or maintenance. I'll pull it out right now. And there is the feed. There's a small notch right in the top that fits this tailpiece of the nib. So you got the perfect fit on that feed for putting it back in again. And there's the gold-plated nib. The black plastic section has this gold metal ring that can slide off as well, and that's the clutch ring for the snap cap. So I put the nib feed and section in pieces into the ultrasonic bath just to clean it up from any extraneous old ink. This pen is used, but it doesn't look like it was used very much at all. And then the whole thing slides back together again. Put the converter into the pen and close it down. It ends up being about 24 grams with the converter. This first generation of the Waterman Hemisphere doesn't differ from the current generation of Waterman Hemisphere model, other than the modern one has a thicker band at the top of the barrel right here. Since lacquer over brass isn't much different than the finish on a car, I'm going to use my Meguiar's Mirror Glaze number 9 Swirl Remover 2 polishing compound to get any micro abrasions out of the cap and barrel. So again, there's just, I don't even know whether you can see it on camera, but there's just a few micro abrasions here and there on this pen after what you consider a few decades of use. Maybe you can see some of those micro abrasions right there. Let's see how well we can polish this up, and then we'll go at the gold-plated hardware. And finish up with a microfiber cloth. It's getting all the fine scratches and abrasions out of that barrel. There we go, nice and shiny and new. Let's look at the gold hardware now. Now, before you go at gold hardware with any kind of a polishing compound or polishing cloth, you should test parts of it first to see how thin or thick that gold plating is. I know this late 1990s, early 2000s Hemisphere from Waterman has got a pretty good sturdy plating to it, but I went ahead and tested the underside of the clip first by rubbing it on my polishing cloth quite a bit, quite vigorously, like this, to see how much plating is on there, to see whether it goes through at all. And it is fairly sturdy, so I'm going to go at the rest of the clip and the top finial and bottom finial of this pen with the polishing cloth. Jeweler's cloths have some abrasive material in it, some polishing material. It's not like an ordinary cloth, so it actually does wear gold off. So you're taking a little bit of that gold plating off when you polish it. But that gets all those micro abrasions out of that surface. That looks pretty good. Around the cap ring, and then we go at the end finial as well. You see there's still some swirls in there, but again, you're going to have that with age. So it looks pretty good. And you can see inside the plastic cap liner, inside the cap, to seal the nib. And there's not a lot of ink in there at all, so I suspect this pen was not well used at all. So let's fill it up with some Waterman ink and do some writing with it. Decided to use Waterman Inspired Blue today, which is a turquoise kind of blue-green. Nice teal-colored ink. And I was running low of my Waterman Serenity Blue, which I use in all my vintage pens. And so I went to my retailer, Reids, and I was told by my retailer that Waterman is stopping the delivery of Waterman products, especially the inks, to Canada. So the distributor is not going to Canada anymore. And so I went out and got a couple of bottles of Waterman Serenity while I could from Amazon. They came the next day. Oops, wrong blue. Wanted the Inspired Blue. Here we go. Down to the section, put a couple of fills. There we go. Now the pen is filled. Let's take a look at some size comparisons with some other Watermans here for a moment. So here's the Hemisphere. Here's a Waterman Carène in Black Seas. Here is a Waterman Carène in Amber, Marine Amber. Here is a 1990s Waterman Phileas, a 1940s Waterman Stalwart, Celluloid, and a, let's move all these up, and a Waterman 100-year pen from 1944. Let's look at them all posted here. And here they are all posted. You can see that the Hemisphere and the Stalwart are the thinnest of the pens, and the Phileas and the Hemisphere are both steel nibs, where the rest of them are gold. Let's look at them unposted. And here they are unposted. Now let's do a writing sample with the Hemisphere. And this is a 1990, let's say 1998 to 2004, something like that. Waterman Hemisphere. And it has a number 5 size, steel, medium nib. And the ink is Waterman's Inspired Blue. This nib is ultra smooth with just a hint of feedback. Lovely, lovely pen. It is on the slim size, so that section is slim, so I'm holding it actually back here, and I'm using it posted. It's nicely balanced posted, but it's long enough to write with unposted as well. That's nice and secure. And the line I'm getting out of this pen is a 0.6 millimeters, which you would expect is a Western medium or Japanese. Medium to broad on my Richard Binder line width chart, which you can find linked in the description below. And let's do a panogram here. And some reverse. Reverse. There we go. Much thinner, much drier, but it's actually working. And some quick writing. You can see that feed is very, very nice. So what are my thoughts on this fountain pen reclamation? Sometimes all a pen needs is a little TLC to make it shine again. As for a lacquer over brass slim fountain pen, there isn't anything extraordinary about this Waterman Hemisphere. It looks like a lot of other middle-of-the-road black and gold metal fountain pens you'll see in gift sets all over the place. But this pen is different from your run-of-the-mill Cross ATX, Schaefer VFM, or Parker IM. The nib may be small and steel, but this nib is just beautiful, smooth and wet. Really, really lovely. So for $30 and a little TLC, this Hemisphere rivals pens 2 and 3 times the price. You just have to know what you're looking for when you're at an antique shop. And there you have it. I'll be back next week with a very dead pen that needs more than just TLC. Until then, thanks for watching, and that's all she wrote.
I made this.